Hello everyone, welcome to the Year 11 and 12 Workplace Learning presentation. My name is Nerida Williams and I'm the Head of Learning for Vocational Education and Training at Servite College. In 2020 we trialled some new formats and I've decided to continue with the online presentation. This presentation has been recorded and I encourage you to sit with your son or daughter to view it together. It really is vital that we're all on the same page and hear the same message to ensure a worthwhile experience for our students during their upcoming workplace learning program. You may have some questions after viewing the presentation. I have created a frequently asked questions page for you that will hopefully answer your questions. If your question is specific to your child, please feel free to email Mrs. DeMassey to discuss. Now, the aims of this presentation are to walk you through some guidelines and specifically address issues related to communication, absenteeism, and dress code. We also need to discuss some documentation pertaining to student participation, parent consent, and insurance cover. I wish to draw your attention to the calendar and a minor change to the delivery this year. Year 11 students will continue with 2 blocks of workplace learning during the semester 1 and 2 exam break. Year 12 students will only have 1 block of workplace learning during the semester 1 exam break. This will free them up at the end of term 3 to wrap up any existing coursework, do some more workplace learning if necessary, trial for apprenticeships and so on. I think it will take away the stress that occurs in October each year. All relevant information, including this presentation, will be placed on the Pathways Vet Lib Guide. SCARS counts workplace learning as an endorsed program, so students will gain additional credit towards their WACE. This is especially beneficial for students who may be considered at risk of not having enough C grades or equivalent to achieve their WACE. So this year in workplace learning we have 2 distinct groups of year 11 and 12 students involved. There's students who are job sampling and there's others who are completing field placements in specific industry areas as part of a vet qualification. They're going to gain credit for every 55 hours on the job, and we personalise the program to their needs. To give you some background, the program has run very successfully at Servite College for 25 years. We've developed a great reputation in local business and the wider community. We pride ourselves on keeping it personalised. Our aim is to get to know our students well, their interests and strengths, and ensure the best fit for each individual. Feedback from host employers has always been very positive. They really appreciate how we prepare the students prior to attending the workplace and also the constant communication with the host once students are in the actual workplace. We have a team of staff, the Pathways team, with a wealth of expertise. Mr. Kozi Skiripa is our career development practitioner, myself, Nerida Williams, as head of vet learning area, and we're supported by Mrs. Libby DeMassey, who manages the workplace learning program. She's the person that will be in contact with you via email or phone to discuss any logistics as need be. We need to work with you to source placements for our students. Times are really tough, and as a result, there are no guarantees to securing a placement unless, of course, you supply your own contact. In terms of host employers, we have lots of repeat hosts and a big database of potential hosts. Part of Libby's role is to go out on site, induct the host employers and conduct a pre-site visit of the workplace. Now, she's looking to see that it's suitable, it's safe and it's fit for the purpose of our program. We really want students to have an authentic experience and a worthwhile experience. I run an induction session prior to students commencing in the workplace, and then Libby will visit them out on site. So she will call in to see each student at least once, and usually a follow-up phone call to the host as well, to visit them, support them, take a photograph of them in the workplace and just check that everybody is on track. In addition, Behind the scenes, Mrs. Damasi is tracking their progress, so monitoring and recording the total hours and ensuring everyone is going to meet the 55-hour minimum requirement. There's lots of benefits to our students. It gives them a great opportunity to combine the theory of their Careers and Enterprise program with practice in the workplace. If they try the occupation and they come away saying, oh, I don't like it, really, it's no worries. It's still a positive outcome, and it helps them eliminate that choice from their list before they commit to any further study or training. So it's going to ultimately help them make better informed choices down the track. Our aim is for an authentic experience in the workplace. Just remember, that's not necessarily school hours. Some workplaces have an early start and an early finish. All students will develop their employability skills, those essential interpersonal skills that transfer to all occupations. And that will ensure they leave us work ready. So they'll have opportunity to practice and demonstrate skills of communication, self-management, problem solving, teamwork, and so on in a variety of contexts. And the networking, establishing contacts in industry, I think is invaluable. Many of our previous hosts will make contact with us before advertising to see if we have a student that might fit their needs. I'm a huge advocate of the Workplace Learning Program and VET at Servite College. However, I think you are best to hear from students who have actually lived it.
I would highly recommend it to other students because it's a great opportunity to know what kind of pathway you're going to go down.
I started on an ATAR pathway in year 11, so my VET journey started at the beginning of this year. I was doing 5 ATAR at the beginning of last year and went through with it, but struggled massively, and the stress of exams and the workload was just too much. So at the end of the year, with the review of all of my heads of learning, we decided it was best if I changed to a general pathway. I was a little bit reluctant at first, purely because I wasn't aware that there was actually an alternative option for me to get to nursing at Notre Dame, which is where I want to be. So I have now picked up a Cert 4, which is externally done at Fremantle Education Centre.
It's just like, it's exactly what I want to do. Like, you don't have to, do a subject that you don't want to, like, it's not going to help you. And yeah, it's just more, you have your own choice, and because you're really focused and that's what you want to do, you find you do really good in those classes and you listen and you get, I came home with a report, A's and B's and all that, and yeah.
I think the workplace learning program will benefit me after year 12 because I'm not just going out there not knowing anything. I actually have a background of like work.
Definitely, even ATAR students, if they, it's not like what they have to do throughout their school thing, but just to get a feel for what it's like being out, working, and you may like be studying to get into a certain course to get a job, but then you never know unless you try out the job.
I would definitely recommend it. I haven't done it yet, but I know that it's going to be very beneficial for me and for others, so do it too.
Okay, I think you would have to agree with me. We've got some great young ambassadors of the program. It's important to remember though, everyone's journey is different and it's personalised to meet their needs. Last year, 2020, was a really challenging year, yet 8 of our students secured apprenticeships and traineeships as a direct result of their workplace learning program. So many students really get out into the workplace and it gives them the opportunity to shine, which is very rewarding to see. In terms of logistics, so all students on the general pathway are enrolled in general subjects and they have no exams. So rather than have them sit at home for 10 days during the exam break, we want to see the learning continue outside of the classroom in a variety of contexts. So students will go into the workplace during that semester 1 and semester 2 exam breaks. As I already mentioned, year 11 students will complete 2 placements during the year, and year 12 students will only complete 1, the first one. We encourage variety. It's a chance to try before you buy in. And we encourage students to develop their work ethic, their skills, and importantly, get them work ready. Students will have a logbook and a skills journal to complete. This is evidence of the time they've spent and the tasks they have completed. So it's a very useful resource to take along to a future job interview. It's proof of the hours in a particular industry. At the conclusion of the placement, the workplace supervisor signs the logbook and completes a performance profile. Now, the performance profile acts as a report, an achievement of their transferable skills, and signed off the hours completed. So again, it's a very good reference document to add to a career portfolio for future use. Mrs. DeMassey will actually interview each student, and she aims to find a placement in line with their preferred occupation. However, that is not always possible, but have faith that she may secure something, not exactly what was requested, however, in a role or a business where you would be demonstrating similar skills. So research suggests that the more exploration, exposure and experience in the workplace that students have, the better prepared they will be. One experience alone provides skills that would in fact transfer to 14 different occupations. So just remember, every experience is worthwhile. It might not be your dream job. You're young, you're inexperienced, you're limited in what you can do on the job, but we're going to focus on the skills, the transferable skills that you will gain. And parents, we may need you to help us remind students of this from time to time. If they don't like the job, the workplace, they need to persevere. They need to build resilience. We've made a commitment to the host employer and they cannot simply bail because they don't like it. If they're unsafe or there's other issues, rest assured we will remove them from the situation. However, that will not be without a lot of communication with the student, with the parents, with the host employer before we make any necessary changes. Workplace learning is a formal program, so much more structured than Year 10 work experience that some students organised for themselves. As it is endorsed by SCASA, there are some mandated requirements. They expect all students participating to enter the workplace safely and responsibility. So as a college, we have the following preparation in place. We have the all students enrolled in the Careers and Enterprise General course. We run a school-developed induction program, and all students will complete the WorkSafe Smart Move certificate in their Careers and Enterprise program. Just remember, some students may take a little longer than others to get ready, and we have supports in place to assist them. Year 11 students going into their first placement are usually quite nervous, and some have a real crisis of confidence a few days before commencing. We talk them through it, work with them, and make plans to individually support them. So even if that means meeting them on site day 1, we will do that. In terms of guidelines, we take our duty of care very, very seriously. Students need to remember they are still learning. It is a school-based program just outside of the predictable walls of the college. So in terms of communication, we will liaise on your behalf. There is no need for you to contact the host directly. So any concerns you may have, please email or call Mrs. DeMassey and she will act on behalf of the college. At the same time, we're not mind readers, so please always communicate any concerns to us. If we don't know about it at the time, we cannot assist. We use Pathway software so that you and your child will receive identical information emailed through regarding the host employer. So the host will dictate, you know, the name, the location, the start time, the finish time, what the student is to wear, and so on. And it's also very user-friendly, easy for students, as they can also text through any absences or concerns. Students will have a calendar and they need to commit to the 10 days as scheduled. So please avoid making any non-urgent appointments during this time. In the case of sickness or a family issue, please contact your host and Mrs. DeMassey as soon as you know you will not be able to attend the workplace. The only exception really is students enrolled in the ATAR Maths Applications course. They will have an exam to attend. So if you could please email Mrs. DeMassey to let her know, she will officially advise your host that you'll be missing for a couple of days from the workplace, and you can remind your host once you are in the workplace as well. In regards dress code, we appreciate teenagers do not have a corporate wardrobe, and the host employer understands that. They will dictate what is appropriate for you to wear. So you will have a heads up if you need to go and purchase, you know, a high-vis vest or steel cap boots or some specific personal protective equipment. I would suggest you just keep it simple. A pair of trousers, a couple of shirts that you can rotate. You will need closed-in shoes. Keep it smart, casual, and conservative. Some students, depending on the workplace, especially those working in primary schools, they end up wearing their college tracksuit, which is comfortable, it's suitable, and it looks smart. As a general rule, leggings, denim, and strappy shoes are not appropriate. Previously, there was some documentation sent out to families. There was a link to a student contract and a parent consent. If we have not received your signed returned copy, Mrs. DeMassey will resend, as without your consent, the student cannot participate. So students ultimately are representing themselves, their families, and the college, so usual school rules apply. In regards insurance cover, students are not employed by the host employer, therefore they're not covered by workers' compensation. We have insurance cover in place. If you would like to see a copy of the certificate of currency, which outlines the accidental and personal insurance coverage, please contact Mrs. DeMassey by email. Students will receive 2 copies of the calendar with the above dates. You notice Year 11s have got 2 dates, Year 12s just have that first placement date. So they will receive 2 copies of the calendar, one for their logbook and one to stick on the fridge at home for your benefit. And workplace learning, there is a fee charged, and that is added to the college tuition account at the end of term 1. That covers things like the insurance, the logbook, the visits, and the supports in place. In terms of SCASA, SCASA recognises that students also learn outside of the traditional classroom. SCASA credits students for 55 hours in the workplace. However, there needs to be evidence, and that's provided by the logbook, which outlines the hours, the tasks, and is signed off by the supervisor. So the logbook, as well as a skills journal where they reflect on the transferable skills they have gained, will be the evidence needed by SCASA. This is SCASA's rule, it's not a school rule, and as a result, if the logbook and skills journal are not submitted, our hands are tied. Students will not gain that extra credit towards their waste, which would be a real shame because they've certainly put in the hours on the job, just haven't followed up with their written work. The total number of hours is recorded to SCASA. So once students hit the 55 hours minimum, they keep going and they complete the scheduled days, the 10 scheduled days on the calendar. We monitor students who are struggling to achieve the minimum 55 hours. Sometimes they may get sick, there might be wet weather and the job site gets cancelled, but we monitor the hours and we will organise additional days if necessary to help them achieve their 55 hours. The total number of hours, so say they actually complete 63 hours, that will be added to their second placement for Year 11s, or the total hours, 63 hours, will actually be reported to SCASA and will be reflected in their Western Australian Student Statement of Achievement, which they receive at the end of Year 12. So just remember that extra 55 hours on the job, it's deemed a C grade, it's extra C grade towards their WACE, and the total number of hours will be reflected on their WASA. And of course that looks really good to a potential employer. So whilst 55 hours is the magical number, we basically keep going to achieve as many hours as possible within the 10 days. As a parent, how can you help? Never underestimate your input. You are, in fact, your son or daughter's best resource. So start the conversation. Talk about your first job, what you liked, what you didn't like. They'll always be keen to know how much you earned per hour, per year, where you trained, where you studied. So share your stories and you'll find it will really engage them and inspire them for the start of their own journey. Rather than follow up with a Q&A session, we've sent you a link to a document that lists 15 frequently asked questions. So I'm hoping that that will clarify any questions you may have after viewing this presentation. If not, please feel free to email Mrs. Damasi with questions specific to your child. And in conclusion, here are a couple of links to the Pathways Vet LibGuide and also a reminder of Mrs. Damasi's email address. The Workplace Learning Program is a very worthwhile experience. Students will be challenged to step out of their comfort zone. They will build resilience and in many cases they will absolutely shine. So I truly hope it's a very rewarding time for all of our students and families.